Tonight, Port Augusta and Port Lincoln's property values soar, and lanterns set to light up the night sky at this year's Tunarama Festival.
With the latest from around the region, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening, thanks for your company. New figures show Port Augusta and Port Lincoln are two of South Australia's top performers in median house prices. Both cities recording increases of around 6% over the past 2 decades.
An in-depth analysis showing the latest results for average price growth in Australia. Regional towns proving they have something to offer buyers.
More and more they're starting to appreciate what large parts of regional Australia, including Port Augusta and Port Lincoln, has to offer. I think that's going to be the new norm for many years to come.
Results revealing Port Lincoln has seen a 6% increase, whilst Port Augusta has seen a 6.9% increase over the past 20 years.
It's certainly consistent growth and probably more superior growth than what a lot of people in capital cities might expect in the regional parts of our big country.
Real estate agents putting the numbers down to buyer confidence.
Probably a little bit early to say that there's a boom at this point in time. I think the buyer confidence is up, well-priced properties are going.
Many buyers looking at the median price in capital cities.
Then you look at the investment opportunities in Port Augusta and realise that you can get a property for under $150,000 here, and they'll say, well, I'll take 2 or 3, which is great news for the town.
Agents say investing is appealing, with buyers welcoming the lifestyle too.
Good lifestyles, very affordable housing, great places to live, and economic conditions are probably a lot better than what a lot of capital city folk realise.
And they're confident Port Augusta itself is a selling point.
This is a great place. It's, at the gateway of the outback. Everybody's looking at it. If you want to go further into the peninsula or into the outback, you've got to come through here. It's offering great value for money at the moment. It's a beautiful town.
Laura MILOVANOVIC, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Whyalla police are investigating the theft of a backpack over the weekend. Just before 5 p.m. on Saturday, a car was broken into on Racecourse Road with a number of items, including a Samsonite bag stolen. Some items were later found in Civic Park. CCTV footage released by police shows a man believed to be holding the stolen backpack. Anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers. And police are investigating multiple break-ins at Wallaroo yesterday morning. Between 6 and 6:30, multiple items were stolen, including this Vento dishwasher. 3 houses on Prince Street that are currently under construction were targeted and broken into. CCTV captured the suspect wearing a high-vis jacket, a hoodie and long pants. Police are urging anyone with information to call Crime Stoppers. A Broken Hill pub has received approval to build a gin and whiskey distillery in town. The owner excited to be bringing something new and unique to the city, hoping to open in 2021.
A new tourism attraction in Broken Hill, that's something to toast to. The Tidwell Hotel's development application to council to build a gin distillery in its beer garden has been approved.
We're all pretty excited. This shows the council confidence in the town and in our business.
What it means is the business has permission to build the facility on its block of land. But Mr. Hanna says there's still plenty of permissions needed before shovels are in the ground.
Federal licences and permits, so we can actually have the still on site, build the still, operate the still. There's a lot more to it than what most would know.
The Tidwell team has partnered with Mildura gin maker Fossey's. Eric saying if he's making a product with the Broken Hill name on it, it needs to be high quality.
Keeping people in town, getting them into town, keeping them here longer, more spending in town, local shops, local businesses, local products.
The city's mayor saying it's a great idea to see come together.
They're investing in their business and they're making sure that, there's a product that can be not just for the locals, but more importantly for the tourist.
The plan is to have the project complete by the Tidwell's 130th anniversary next year. Eric hoping his gin journey inspires other potential distillers and brewers to join the party. As for the mayor, do you think you'll be sampling the first batch of gin when it comes out?
Look, I think the Mayor and her husband will be up there testing the gin. I think that, I have to. It's my obligation as Mayor.
The Broken Hill Distillery plans to produce 4 gins and a single malt whisky. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Port Augusta's trains will have almost a dozen new drivers in the coming few weeks, with the latest recruits officially selected. It's the largest number of trainee drivers taken in since the early 2000s.
Trains remain one of the largest transport methods in our country, taking freight from one state to the other. Pacific National pairing with Rail Train in Port Augusta to introduce 10 new trainee drivers.
This decision was made by our local management and initiative through our company earlier last year, and gives an opportunity for young people to become a train driver into the future.
The group has undergone training for the last 2 weeks and will continue for the next 4 to 6 weeks.
That's the largest number we've sort of brought in. I think we brought that sort of number in back in the early 2000s, so it's been a long time since this has occurred and a long time since we've had this amount of trainees come on board.
Out of the 20 interviewed for the training, the successful group is a combination of 8 males and 2 females. And in a boost for local employment, all inductees are local residents.
The age groups range from 22 to 49. They're all local people. So some are single, some have families, so they've all come on board.
Industry leaders say Port Augusta has a special status in the nation's transport network as it's a major hub for the transit of goods.
I think it's fantastic. Port Augusta has always been the centre of the rail, really, because we can be very diversified. We can go to all areas, north, east, south and west, and we cover a lot of locations, so it's a very central point.
And with rail freight showing no signs of slowing down, it's expected the local industry will continue to grow.
Most certainly, rail will always continue to grow. I believe it's a great way to move freight and it's a safe way to move freight.
Laura MILOVANOVIC, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, we meet Port Pirie's Citizens of the Year and the Nautilus Theatre ready for a bumper 2020. Welcome back. Port Pirie's Citizen Award recipients have been unveiled ahead of Australia Day celebrations this Sunday. Mayor Leon Stevens says they're well deserved for their tireless efforts in the community.
Honouring our community's top citizens.
Oh, this is fantastic. The really exciting part about this is that the recipients every year are so worthy.
The Mayor will be awarding Citizen of the Year to who he says is a local legend that's been volunteering his time for over 20 years.
I play music for all the daycares, hospitals, senior cits clubs.
Young Citizen of the Year will be awarded to this Piri local for her volunteer work through numerous community groups.
Anzac Day and Remembrance Day and read little poems and things at the services. Also at the Crystal Brook Motorcycle Club through the canteen, and I just help Mum out a little bit.
Port Pirie Junior Soccer Association will also be awarded for hosting the event of the year, a statewide soccer competition.
2019 country championships, and we're successful in doing that.
However, they all say the upcoming award was a surprise to them.
It's a furthest thing from your mind, really, and I was so taken back when I received the letter from the Mayor. It was great, yeah.
And I don't do the volunteering and the things I do to get the recognition.
Council is encouraging the community to come support these recipients on Sunday.
Don't forget, come along and have a look. Australia Day is always a great day. It's a time for us all to join and be thankful for where we live.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Port Lincoln's Nautilus Arts Centre has started the year strong, with a number of shows and bookings already secured. It's promising news for the theatre, which was left thousands of dollars out of pocket last financial year.
After a rough end to the year, Port Lincoln's Nautilus Arts Centre is back in business with a bumper start to the season.
We're very happy with how it's kicked off this season. We had the opening of the Port Lincoln Art Prize last week and we had around 200 people come through the doors.
It's much needed relief for a centre that was seeing red, reporting a $20,000 loss this time last year. Organisers say more show variety has helped curb the deficit.
Port Lincoln Arts seem to love our comedies, so We've actually got Kevin Bloody Wilson coming along, and we've got the Melbourne Comedy Festival coming too.
A separate advertising budget has also been set up to help promote shows through social media, broadcast and print.
We do have quite a significant budget for that. I think it's around $15,000. The thing is, you do packages and things like that, so that we use that money wisely.
A number of purchase shows last year was also being blamed for the loss. If the theatre bought a show, it would take all the profits, but if it didn't break even with what it costs to run a show, then it will be in the negative.
And that's where basically we take the risk. We've only had 2 purchase shows this year, and I think we have another one, so most of them are half shows.
Organisers say they're optimistic for the rest of the season, with plenty of unique and different shows set to take centre stage.
We've got about 2 shows a month, all types of theatre, performing arts shows, from comedy to cabaret to musical, everything.
The end of the year is really going to finish off on a high note with the shows that we have.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Another illegal dumper has been caught in Port Augusta, just a week after one local was fined $1,000. Rubbish and large household items were found next to Yorkeys Crossing, with residents being reminded the penalties, if caught, are far more expensive than legal disposal.
Although dumping prices are high in some relations, the fine that you'll get if you're caught doing the dumping is far higher than that.
Council currently doesn't operate a hard waste collection service in town. Placing items on the footpath can also result in fines of up to $1,000. Preparations for Wyala's Australia Day celebrations are in full swing, with local council gearing up for Sunday's event. Hundreds of locals are expected to enjoy the day down on the local foreshore.
It's the yearly event we all get excited for. This year's Australia Day bigger and better than ever before.
Oh, it's all a bit exciting. I'm looking forward to it. We are coming back to the Wyala foreshore for Australia Day, so bringing the celebrations back to the beach.
I'm expecting a huge number of people down at the Wyala foreshore. Hopefully the weather is nice. It's looking nice at this stage.
With previous celebrations at ADELAIDE Gardens, this year's event is jam-packed with new attractions for all ages.
Jumpy castles and a huge maze and all that good stuff. There's going to be bubble soccer, pyramid rock climbing wall, but we've also got extreme kites and paddle actually happening on the foreshore this year.
And there's still time for your business to be part of it, with council taking applications for any market stalls wishing to participate on the day, with plenty of food stalls available for all those food lovers.
We want people to kick back and relax and enjoy. There's going to be lots of food, from Smokies uppercuts right through to hot chips and ice cream and all sorts of good stuff.
The morning kicks off with the Beyond Bank Fun Run at ADELAIDE Gardens, followed by a youth hour, the Australian Citizenship Ceremony, and of course one of Wyala's most traditional Australia Day competitions.
Such an Aussie way of celebrating Australia Day with the exciting thong throwing competition.
And then we go into Ragdolls, who are a local band that will be playing as well.
And the evening will finish with a bang.
Super excited for the fireworks at 9 o'clock. Make sure you head down below Hummerkill to get a good spot. And obviously this is dependent on the weather, so we're all about safety here.
Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
After the break, your chance to own a piece of Wyala history. And Port Lincoln gets ready to celebrate Tunarama. A former Wyala convent which housed more than 100 nuns is up for sale. Built in 1942, this unique piece of religious history is being touted by agents as a buyer's delight, with a bargain price tag to go with it.
A home to many throughout the years, this old religious convent could be your new home.
The diocese has decided that it's time for somebody else to give it an opportunity for a new lease on life.
Originally built for the Good Samaritan sisters, they spent their years ministering not only in schools but also in faith education to outlying areas, midwifery and outreach to those in need.
Just an extraordinary achievement for a small number of very working class people in those days.
It then became the home for the Refugee Resettlement Committee for those fleeing from the Vietnam War.
Wyala was one of the first places in Australia to be granted government approval for refugee resettlement.
15 main rooms, including a kitchen, 2 bathrooms and 4 toilets, recently the home to many families from Centre Care Services.
How many bedrooms does somebody need? And ample living space opportunities as well.
The property, zoned residential, now sits vacant, waiting for its next history adventure.
So quite conceivably a family could move in here, would need to be a big family, and there's probably also opportunities for commercial accommodation or office accommodation.
The diocese hope that this former convent goes to a good family home, who'll continue the legacy of what this property has offered over almost 80 years.
I'd really hope that it either becomes, like a beautiful family home, or some humanitarian organisation might buy it and use it for children's welfare or development of leadership.
Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The Broken Hill Squash Club is encouraging local players to put their names down for its upcoming major competition. Organisers say there's openings for all skill levels, from advanced to beginners. Matches are played on Thursday nights at the YMCA Wellness Centre, but games can also be rescheduled if players are unavailable. The season starts next month. Those interested should visit the Broken Hill Squash Facebook page. Port Lincoln's iconic Tunorama Festival is just days away, with local volunteers getting ready for the opening ceremony this Friday. A lantern parade along the foreshore is the latest event, set to dazzle the crowds.
Cutting, sticking and drawing, volunteers are working around the clock, getting ready for this weekend's big event. This year's new Lantern Parade set to be a highlight at the Tunorama Festival.
There's all sorts of sea creatures here that, is just going to blow everybody away.
More than 50 lanterns of all different shapes and sizes will parade down the foreshore this weekend.
Potentially bitten off more than I could chew, but it's been fun. It's been a process, but I'm getting through it.
The multicultural event was inspired by the Chinese New Year, which falls on Saturday. Adelaide artist Paula Gallagher lending a helping hand in teaching lantern making.
I taught them the basics of this technique of using cane and tape and paper, and they have just, I was going to say run with it, but they've flown with it. It's just beyond my expectations.
From stingrays to seahorses, even a giant prawn, there'll be something to inspire the crowd. But it's the 5-foot anglerfish which organisers say will tower over the parade.
Trial and error was the main process I used. There were a lot of mistakes, but I was able to fix them.
The event was organised by the local Multicultural Society. It's hoped the lanterns will be used in future events, such as the Salt and Diwali Light Festival.
I think this is something that's really going to spark a lot of different evening events and events where kids can get involved and people can showcase a lot of their creativity and designs. 70
artists from across the town all pitching in to light up the night this Saturday.
We'll be heading off from the Nautilus at about 8:30 because that's when the sun sets, and parading around and then going down the jetty.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. We wrap up the region's sports results, and Brett will join us with the latest weather details. Hello again. Basketball competitions are still a couple of weeks away from returning, but softball, baseball, tennis and squash are back in full swing. Shari Hams has the weekend wrap.
With basketball still a couple more weeks from returning, today we'll be talking about baseball, softball, tennis and squash. Starting with softball, and these results are from Whyalla. The first game saw the Tigers thump the Indians 16-1. The Tigers scored 4 infield home runs on the night, Tanya McIntosh recording 2 of them. For the Indians, it was a tough night at the office. The second game was a little closer, Eagles beating the Roadrunners by 4. Gloria Colson was in good form for the Eagles, while roadies pitcher Amy Watson and catcher Beck Brand were combining well. In the baseball, both the Tigers and the Indians were scoreless in the first 3 innings in what was a tight tussle, the Tigers going on to win by 3 runs. In the Broken Hill tennis summer round robin, Volley smashed the Smashers 6-0, Nathan Crabb in blistering form. Closing with a quick look at Broken Hill squash, Tim O'Neill guided his side Alpha Romeo to a good win over Aston Martin. In the other games, Austin Healy had a comfortable win over Koenigsegg 6-0. Thanks to everyone who sent in their results.
Weather time now, and it was a classic summer's day in our region today, but a hot and windy spell is expected tomorrow. Here's Britt with the details.
Good evening, John. It's been a lovely summer's day, you're right. Port Augusta with a top of 34 degrees today, Whyalla 32, Broken Hill and Port Prie both 31, Port Lincoln 24 today. Skies remained clear over most parts under a ridge of high pressure, with a little bit of low cloud about the south coast. Moving on to tomorrow, southwesterly winds on the Gulf waters at 20 to 30 knots with seas at 1 metre. Sunrise just before 6:30. Hot and windy conditions expected tomorrow with possible showers at Coffin Bay, and there's a strong wind warning current for the Spencer Gulf. Port Augusta and Broken Hill both looking at tops of 38 degrees, Corn 36, Whyalla and Port Pire both 35, Clare 32, Kadina 30, Cleve 29, a top of 28 at Woodner, Port Lincoln 20, Coffin Bay 19. Looking further through the week now, partly cloudy conditions forecast for Port Lincoln, Cleve and Woodner on Thursday and Friday. Whyalla looking fine and partly cloudy Thursday and Friday. Port Augusta mostly fine on Thursday, sunny on Friday. Kadina with partly cloudy days ahead. Partly cloudy conditions on the forecast for Port Pirie and Clare. Broken Hill fine on Thursday, sunny on Friday. And John, that's it for today's weather. It's back to you.
Thanks, Britt. And that's your local news this Tuesday evening. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow, but until then, enjoy your evening. On behalf of the team, it's good night.